Alright, so we talked about impact, trying to keep the handle of the club and the club head moving together. So the impact alignment, you want a flat left wrist and swing plane. Put this box here. Club goes back. Club head gets a little bit inside your hands.
Okay.
My preference would have the club head to stay outside the hands. Let me show you what I mean by that.
Okay, so I'm still coming too far. Okay.
Yeah, it's getting inside your hands a little quick.
Okay.
So let's see, I'll show you an example here. See how the club head stays to the right of his hands?
Yeah.
And yours is just a little to the left of your hand. So that gets the shaft a little flat. What do I mean by that? Well, the angle of the shaft here is 50 degrees. When his left arm's parallel to the ground, his shaft plane's going to be steeper than that. Now, is that a preference? It's not a law. In other words, there's lots of ways to do it. And then when he comes down, his hands are going to pretty much track on the same path they go up on. And the shaft's going to lay out, it's going to shallow out. Actually, his hands came out a little bit. So his hands came out over here.
Yeah.
But the shaft laid down to 50 degrees. So he gets a little steeper coming back and a little shallower coming down. Now, what I look for in delivery is the club head to line up with the hands.
Okay.
And so in your swing, you do a nice job of that. The club's in a nice position at the top. What I look for at the top is a square club face. So what is a square face? Well, basically I want the face angle to match the angle of the left arm. What you pretty much are doing. That would be a more neutral club face. So that's a nice backswing. And there's very little movement here in terms of up and down. In biomechanics, you have 6 degrees of motion. You have forward flexion and extension. You have right bend to the right, side bend to the left, and then you have right and left rotation. So you do all of those in the golf swing. You just want to do them minimally and within parameters. So you're doing a good job here. The club's coming down. Now, some people would say that shaft plane's too steep. Well, not necessarily. It depends on your build. If your forearms, and I haven't taken your biomechanical measurements, but if your forearm is longer than your upper arm, the shaft plane's going to be steeper coming down.
Okay.
So you can swing the club on a number of different planes. What's most important is where's the face looking at impact. So that's almost parallel to the inclined plane established at address. It's a little bit steeper, but there are guys that swing on that plane and get good results. That's why your attack angle is a little steep.
Mm-hmm.
Because your attack angle is steep.
Right.
Because the shaft is too vertical. You'll see here his gets a little more shallow. Now, is yours wrong and his right? No. You can play good golf from either position. What's important is the face is perpendicular to target line at collision, and the path of the club is relatively down the target line. I'd rather it be a little in to out. So I think you're doing fine. Every so often you'll hit it fat if you get too steep, though. You'll hit behind it. You'll hit the ground, which is what's happened a couple of times.
Sure, yeah.
So what I want to do is shallow out your plane a little bit. I think it's too shallow going back and a little steep coming down. I'd like it to be in reverse.
Right.
I'd like the shaft to be steeper, a little steeper going back, like this guy. There's his backswing plane. And then his downswing plane is a little shallower. That's typical of what most tour players do.
Yeah.
If you look at like Rory McIlroy, his shaft plane on the backswing, he gets it a little bit steeper on the backswing. Notice the club head stays to the right of his hands there.
Yeah.
And then as the left arm gets parallel to the ground, there's the plane. It's around 73. Then as he gets up, There's the top of his backswing. You can see the club face and the left arm are pretty much on the same plane. And then as he comes down, you can see he shallows the club plane out. His hands drop back, and he shallowed it out just slightly. So that's what most pros do it. Now, is that gospel? No, there are guys that go shallow and steep, but they're very few.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really that's not something I want you to do.
Okay.
I want you to keep your handle of your club in closer to your body, and that fixes everything.
Okay.
That fixes the plane angle. The reason is simple. If I keep my hands in close, the shaft has to work up. If the hands work out, the shaft has to work back.
Right. Makes sense.
It's just that simple. And when you watch tour players, they keep their hands pretty close to their body, almost over their toes as they take the club away. So that's all we're going to do. It's not that much different. You can see there, his hands go right over his toes.
Yep.
All right.